So even though we always have the introduction, Mario, I feel like you don't really need an introduction. So you're pretty well known. So thanks for taking the time today, for sure.
My pleasure, Matt.
You know, I was kind of looking for the stat, and I thought I saw an interview where you talked about you did over 900 races. Is that right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Do you know how many you won of the 900?
111.
That's a lot. That's awesome. I think you're still the only one to have won the Daytona 500, the Indy 500, and F1, right? That's one thing that nobody's come close to touching. But it seems drivers are more focused today, or is that just my perception, where to do the variety of racing, is that still out there where drivers would do as big a variety of racing as you did?
Well, it's a personal thing, quite honestly, Matt. I mean, there's some drivers like, Kyle Larson in NASCAR. You know, he's doing a lot of midget racing, sprint cars on the dirt and so forth, and yet the full NASCAR schedule. Would he have to do that? No. Probably ask his wife. He said, "Why don't you stay home sometime?" And that's the way it was with me. Did I have to do all that? No. Uh, you always have a main effort going for the season and the championship. And then if you feel like you should be filling time in between, that's your prerogative. And that's what it was with me. In fact, many of my contracts prohibited me from doing that. But all I could say, okay, sue me then. You know what I mean? I just did it anyway. I give you, for instance, I was the year that I won the world championship. I'm in Silverstone, England, testing on a Wednesday. And we had no Formula One race that weekend. So Colin Chapman says, "Mario, are you staying over in Europe or are you going back?" I said, "No, I'm going back. I'm racing this weekend for Roger Penske." And Colin says, "Mario, you can't do that." I said, "I know, but I will." So that basically what it was. So, and again, this is what satisfied me. I mean, I was pretty much delving into all the majors of our sport.
Okay.
You know, while I was doing whatever discipline was my main effort, and just like when I was doing Indy cars for the championship, I was doing some Formula One. I won Formula One races on a part-time basis. You know, like when I was just doing it part-time. So I could never get enough of the driving. And I derive tremendous satisfaction out of going to a different high level discipline and where I'm not particularly a specialist and see how I would do. And the ultimate satisfaction was to win there, which I did.
Is there a particular did you like one style of racing over the other? I know you don't ever call out like which tracks were your favorite or anything, but did you like open wheel better than NASCAR, so to speak, or?
Yeah. It might actually, no question that my favorite was open wheel, single seater,
Okay.
because it's the purest form of the sport. Uh, and and again, it's usually the fastest, the one that requires the most precision in driving, and so on and so forth. And again, that was always my number one choice. Yes.
So for those that might not know, like racing was it for you your whole life, I believe, right? You started as a kid and never ever thought of doing anything else. Is that right?
Matt, I never had a plan B.
Ever.
In fact, my plan started basically, I could tell you at age 14 when I witnessed my first Grand Prix while still living in Italy, in Monza. My idol was Alberto Ascari. At that time was a current world champion. And after seeing that firsthand, after, reading all the papers and, following in that way, uh, that was my impossible dream began. But again, I never had a plan B. And unfortunately, when we came to America, that's when the opportunity opened up for me. I don't think it would have ever happened otherwise. And And because of that, I always say that I'm basically, I can say I'm a perfect example of what the American dream is all about.
That's amazing. This is maybe an odd question to ask, but what do you think made you so good? Do you got a feel for the car better than say if I well you have probably have all these skills better than I would have, but do you see the openings quicker than others? Do you feel the car better? Are you more aggressive than most? Like what makes a great driver?
I don't know really how to qualify that, quite honestly. I know one thing, that I was driven by passion like no other, and love for what I was doing. That the tremendous passion to do what I was doing, and grateful for those opportunities. And I again, I was fortunate enough that I tasted victory early in my career, and whatever I was driving. In fact, I won the very first race, professional race that I was
That's a big
in my
confidence
career.
boost, huh? That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It is, you don't know until it happens, if it does. And when it happens, you feel, you know what, maybe I do belong here. And it gives you tremendous boost of confidence that, and then once you start getting get a feel of that, then it's only winning that really satisfies you. So
Yeah.
nothing can take the place for it, and that's what you go for. And sometimes you overdo it. I could take a couple of races back, where I forced the situation bit a little bit more than I should have at the beginning, especially. But looking back and analyzing my career, and I I never, even when I try to reassess situations, I said I cannot change my style, because for the most part it's working. So I was aggressive, yeah, and sometimes, as I said, to my fault, but it also paid off.
I'm a big fan of your style, by the way, because we grew my company really fast, and we continue to want to do it really fast. And so your quote of if everything's under control, you're not going fast enough. I use that regularly with my team. By the way,
Well, it does apply. It does apply, not just in sports, but it applies, as you say, in a business or anywhere where you're facing competition. And again, you just leave nothing on the table. So that's the way that came about. It was after I was asked a question from the author of one of the books that I was doing.
okay.
You know,
I was going to say, is that where that quote
That
first
that
came
that's
from?
a yeah, that's where that quote came on.
Never any fear, Mario? The speed never scared you? And I mean, going back for all the years that you raced, like it was dangerous too. Like I feel like everything has probably gotten safer now, but the fear never got to you, huh?
Well, here's the thing. Uh, I I just did not dwell on the negative, and the negative was exactly that. I lost most of my closest friends in the sport.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, my own brother suffered from that, from accidents where he never really was able to complete his career, and so on and so forth. So I had plenty of examples. If I wanted to dwell on that negative, I've been asked many times, "How can you continue?" Well, I have to go on, and that's it. I just put myself in the hands of the man upstairs, and I said, "Please help me if you can." And I think there were a couple of events throughout my career that a force beyond me, that saved me. So I'm a believer, and somehow I've been spared. I feel blessed for that, for sure. But going back to yeah, the sport was pretty cruel, in the decades where I was active, like the 60s and 70s and 80s even. And today, I think finally we reached a point where it's as safe as it's ever been,
Mhm.
which is a good thing. And I think it bodes well for the sport for the future. And today's drivers have the best opportunity ever to retire on their own terms, which is again,
That's
it's a
great.
plus. And but again, I know that I've been very blessed and very fortunate throughout my career to survive. After doing so many races that I did in my life.
Now, were you just as risky with everything in life, or just with racing? Like, did you go jump out of planes on your days off and stuff too, or did that show up anywhere else?
Yeah, I mean, I did actually. I did jump out of a plane once. Only did it once because I had an instructor behind me, and I thought, oh, this is easy. I could do it on my own. I could do a solo. Then I figured I got talked out of that one, which I'm glad.
I did it once with somebody strapped to me too, and I didn't question it once until the person in front of me jumped out of the plane, and I saw him shoot. I envisioned it going kind of out, and it doesn't. It goes right behind the
Yeah,
plane. So,
yeah,
but it's an adrenaline rush, which probably
yeah.
I'm guessing. How many years did you drive?
My career started in 1959,
Uh huh.
and my very last professional race was in 2000. So
So 4 decades.
41,
Yeah.
yeah, 4
So you
decades.
lived in a 4 decade adrenaline rush, probably.
Basically, yes. And as a matter of fact, what's interesting, Matt, is that when I finally came out of the cockpit
Uh
altogether,
huh.
actually, it was in 1994. Then I came out of the cockpit of an open wheel car, really the series. I still drove Le Mans for three other times. And I won it the following year, one class. But what it was is that I was having some physical issues, like all of a sudden, for some reason, I had some breathing issues and one thing another, and I was under the study of a professor in Philadelphia, and we couldn't figure it out. And when I told him about my life, he said, "Oh," I said, "the only thing I can see, you've been living with adrenaline for your entire
Hmm.
adult life, and now that's not happening, and your body thinks you're dead, and so you're just it's going to have to readjust." And it took a couple 3 years to readjust, but as soon as then I got back in on a one-off in a race car one time. I was right, like I did a test at Indianapolis, you know, for my son actually, even later than that. And once I was in the car, I almost felt, oh, this is my rodeo. Everything just was coming back. So I realized that's what it was. But it took quite some time, a few years, for my body to really totally readjust to that different life.
You actually got physically ill from the transformation.
Yeah,
That's pretty
yeah,
crazy. But I imagine that's just like, even say in the business world, somebody who retires and then it's maybe not adrenaline, but the stress level comes off. It's probably like a big transformation for a person's body in that kind of position as
yeah.
well, I imagine.
Well, like I said, it happened to me, and it was strange as could be. I figured, what in the world, is happening to me, but then it all started making sense.
In business for us, it's so dependent upon the quantity and quality of our people. And, racing is a considered a team sport too. It,
Big time.
for you, how did you look at kind of the team around you? It seems like a silly question, but maybe I'm looking for details on like the concerted effort you made to put a great team around you. How'd you go about that?
This is an area that you have no idea how important that is for just like any business to surround yourself with the best people possible. Not the jack of all trades. I mean, there's got to be, if each person in whatever area totally specialized in that particular routine or particular need. And the sport is so demanding in that respect, just like I said, any sophisticated business. Um, and I use the same formula in businesses that actually very successful businesses that I've been part of. And to use that formula, uh, just reward and pay attention to the individuals that actually really contribute, and give a chance, give an opportunity to advance in the company, and promote from within, and a lot of these things that I think are very valuable, mainly because that's what people are looking for. The people with ambition, that's what they're looking for. To better themselves, have that opportunity, and not to be overlooked. And we use the same formula. I remember, just one of the petroleum companies that we had that are actually our managing partner. Whenever we did something good happen, he come to me and said, Mario, we just won another race, type of thing. And again, it's sport, and in life, it's all about trying to do the best you can. And there's a lot of pride involved. If you don't have any pride, then obviously you're not going to be accomplishing very much. I'm one that I detest mediocrity, because it's easy, and it's full of excuses. Um, like I said, you work hard, and you look to be rewarded, and that's and when the rewards come, that keeps you going. You want more, and I call that ambition. There's nothing wrong with that, and that's really what drove me my entire life. It still drives me today.
So I love that phrase you just used, to test the mediocrity. How did you get that across? Did you have to fire a lot of people? Did you have to scream at a lot of people, or was it a culture? How did you go
They
about it
just,
culturally?
the people, yeah, man, the people that don't fit your mold, you just, I think you better go look, and find somebody else, type of thing. It's just, unfortunately, don't always find exactly the quality that you want, but in general, that's really what's essential to be successful. You gotta have a team that really has the same basic ambition as you do. You're trying to be a leader, so to speak, just like a quarterback. If the receivers and the team around you don't really want to play for you, they don't like you, you're going to look pretty bad as well. So everybody has to come in and pull in the same direction. So again, the formula is simple. There's one formula, and that's it. That's sport and business.
At that level, the skill level has to be pretty dialed in. So I'm just wondering, like, sometimes we'll be in a situation where you're a little bit burdened with your options. So you're not trying to pick the person that sucks, but you got the choice of A and B, and neither are that great. Is there enough people in the sport lined up to take those jobs that you can afford to be picky because there's a lot of people standing in line? Is that how it is?
Well, not always. I think you'd like to have that opportunity, or that option, but it's like anything else. Sometimes you have to be patient, and but if you're not happy, not satisfied with what is whoever is around you, you got to make the change. You got to make the change. And I've seen this even recently, within our teams. Just you get that key person involved, the person, to replace the key person, and all of a sudden things change for the better immediately. And so again, you can't just remain satisfied just because someone you think is underperforming or not really getting the joke. to put up with it because it's a nice person or whatever. You have to be realistic. You know what? I got to look after the company and the rest of it, the rest of everyone, and make them move. Like I said, depending on the situation, sometimes it's heart wrenching. It's not an easy decision, but you have to make it if you really want to go forward and prosper the way you need to prosper.
Could a lesser driver win if he had a better team?
Well, it sometimes, yes, sometimes the good equipment can make up for some lack of talent, I suppose. It goes the other way as well. Sometimes some drivers can pull out of the car maybe what's more than what is really there. It goes both ways. But the bottom line is the driver, no matter how good you are, you're never going to get the results unless you have the equipment that's actually capable to give them to you. So you cannot perform miracles there. So bottom line is you need team with a capital T.
It's just like kind of anything. In business, I always look at it like a great team can accomplish way more than the best individual always. So, and
100%.
it's great to see it, it applies more universally. How about rivalries? Like there's some that I know, like I assume like AJ Foyt was a big rivalry for you. Maybe the answers, like, did you hate your rivals when you were racing against them? Were you friends except on race day? How did the competitiveness come up in you?
Well, depends on the personality, but I'll tell you what, rivalries are good. I mean, and there's always someone out there that's better than you. And the best way to really take advantage of that situation is to really force yourself and say, you know what, I got to try to do that. I got to try to match or even better that person. You got to have that ambition. There's nothing wrong with that. And again, that's the way I looked at it as a young lad. You mentioned AJ Foyt. When I came on the scene at the top level, AJ Foyt was, he's 5 years my senior, so he was already an established champion. And even my team manager per se say to me, Mario, just try to finish these races. You're not going to beat Foyt. Blah blah blah. And I said to myself, yeah, that's what I'm going to try to beat. Exactly. That that's the top of the and when I finally did that, I felt, what, I feel like I belong now, and then that's what you got to go for. I mean, that's what drives you to be better. There's always someone out there that's better than you. And so you never really want to sit back. Oh, yeah, now I got this. Oh, yeah, I know everything. No, I think even from a learning standpoint, I felt that I was still learning to my very last race of my career. There's always something out there you might have missed, and keep your mind open. There's always something you can do better. You never say, oh, now I got everything. Now I really reached the ultimate and I can't be any. No, no, no. You can always do better, be better, learn even from the young talents or whatever. Always keep open mind to learn more, because there's always something more out there that you might have missed.
Yeah, if you get complacent, the winning stops. I'm sure of it. That's what I've
And
experienced.
No complacency.
You mentioned Le Mans. Is that a different type of that's a big endurance one compared to, that's a different type of race, right? Do you go about that completely differently?
There you have teammates and so forth, and here again, you just sharing, the experience, and but I've been very fortunate. I won a lot of long distance races. I won Sibir 12 hour 3 times. I won Daytona. I won quite a few uh, long distance races, sports car races with, I drove for great teams. Ferrari, I drove for Alfa Romeo, won with that, and I drove for Porsche. So I was always, I'd say, all the time with teams that were capable and to give results, and had good teammates. So I derive a lot of satisfaction out of that side too.
Is there a win that you're more proud? Is there one that eluded you for a long time, or that was harder to get than another? Is there a win that you're most proud of?
Well, yeah, there's always one. I wanted to win Monaco really badly, and like in '77, I was leading the race, and I had the race in my hand, and we had something really weird happen. Like oil pressure was mechanical at that time; it was
Okay.
not electric, if you will, on the gauge. And there was actually a oil line going to the oil pressure gauge, and that on the dash, and somehow that had not been tight. It was loose, and all of a sudden I got sprayed with oil all over my face. Hot oil during the race took me out. Never seen something like that. You only see it in the movies,
Mm.
and things like that. But Monaco, I really wanted and to do it because I knew I could, and it never happened. So if there's one that I really feel that I missed, was that
Sounds like the one that got away.
one that got away.
I'm super excited to see you involved in entering F1. Maybe before I get to that, though, for a while you were driving around the two-seater Honda in the Indy Series, right? With
Yeah, I did that.
don't do that anymore, right? But you did that for a good while.
I did that for a few years. Yeah, I enjoyed that very much. Actually, just to give that experience. Um, Yeah, and that gave me a lot of reason to go to the races too. To make most of the races, even though we had our own team. My son had his own team going, but yeah, I mean it was a good stint for
How did
me
how did that
to
work?
do that.
Was there a big long waiting list of people wanting to ride with you? How did they get selected?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's I just all I did is drove, and whoever was behind me, I just hoped that I gave him a good experience. I used to get a lot of good feedback and so forth from people that were doing that with me. So it was very satisfying.
I would ask if we could trade seats, and you would have told me no way. But you didn't give anybody a scare more than another, huh?
I don't know. Might have been some close ones here and there, but we were all right.
So the team in the F1 um, can't be an easy thing to accomplish either. Like, when did that from kind of idea or dream to, did this take some years to get done? Maybe talk me through some of that
Yeah,
story if you
well,
could.
I'll clarify this one. It was basically I never had a real ambition to field a team. The driving was just my only and ultimate passion.
Okay.
But my son Michael had he came out of the cockpit still a winner as a driver, and he felt that there was a lot more life in the sport to be on the ownership side, and he was very successful. He won several championships for other drivers, and also he won Indy 5 times with the drivers. And he was very, like I said, very, very ambitious in every way, and being in all the different disciplines. And it was his idea to get involved and pursue a Formula One venture. And and that's how this whole thing started. And he, because of some of my connections there, obviously, I was invited to be part of it. To try to help if I could. And it was again, it was just another one of those things that took a while to measure up or satisfy um, the the commercial side and the technical side of the sport. To be able to accept you, and finally it all happened, and we brought Cadillac the U.S. largest manufacturer for the first time in history to be officially in Formula One. And so I like to think that it's a good thing for the sport. Everybody thinks so, and it is to have another manufacturer involved. Um, you have right now you have Ford, you have Mercedes, you have Audi, and now Cadillac, and Honda. Yeah, it's right now again. It's the first season. We have 2 races under our belt,
Hmm.
and the team is functioning very well right out of the gate. I think it's very respectful. Everybody's dealing with the totally new package, as far as chassis and power unit, and it's the power unit situation is very complicated, and so not everybody has their arms around it totally. But again, it's going to be a long term. It's a long term commitment. So and we again we're just hoping to try to even bring some more talents on the technical side, or as we go on to earn our way. But I'm very happy the way the team looks right now, already right out of the gate. And just even from the first race to the second, we progressed very nicely. It's a big challenge, and that's it. We've been that's been our life, to just deal with challenges. But I think there's a lot of good things to be looking forward to, in my opinion.
Yeah, big congratulations. Excited to see it and watch it. They named that chassis after you.
That was quite nice, a nice gesture, of course, to make me feel part of it to some degree. And yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised about that one. But that's what a team is all about, try to be together, and everybody try to contribute in any way they can possibly can. But we have, like I said, I'm really happy with who we have at the helm of the situation of this running the team, and again already shown that we belong there.
How competitive are you watching? Do you wear yourself out watching a race, or not so much?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not my favorite thing, obviously. You like to be, and once you've been in it, it's anything else is not the same. But still derive a lot of satisfaction out of watching young talents do their job, and know how they feel. So it's a different feeling, but it still works.
That's awesome. You know what? I feel like there's some things that F1 has done. Popularity is rising, right? What do you think they're getting right? Where there's other sports where it's going the other way, where popularity is shrinking. What do you think
Yeah,
is what do you think they're doing right?
that's an interesting question here, but I can see one thing that I think has really ignited the interest in the United States, especially, was that the series, the Drive to Survive series that
Hmm.
was in place, the last couple of years, and I mean somehow it just cultivated. I don't know, just a younger set, maybe just really looking into it because they could see the inner workings of something like that, which is fascinating. And but again, it exploded, and especially here in these United. I know that here in these United States, I don't think Formula One ever enjoyed the popularity that it's enjoyed today, and so that's a wonderful thing. And let's face it, uh, this is the only country on the planet that fields 3 Formula One
Yeah.
races, uh, and so that's huge. And again, Formula One, I always say it's like the Olympics of motorsports because of it, the international flavor. Not only from the driver standpoint, because even in IndyCars, you have drivers from probably another 10 countries in the world. But the fact that your Formula One race, each race happens in a different country, a different continent. That's the international flavor of it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of national pride that goes with it. I know that when I was flying the U.S. flag, you know, anywhere I want to race, uh, the when you're on the top of the podium, your national anthem is played, and there he goes, the national pride, just like in the Olympics. You see what I mean? And so there's something that it's a big force that's behind you in trying to really represent your country, in the best possible way. And that would really work for me. I know that's total pride.
That
Then
makes a lot of
then
sense.
I'm
Yeah.
in Italy. I'm in Italy, and I got both. I won the Italian Grand Prix, and I was born Italian but naturalized American, and I've been actually invited to in Rome to the American government. They actually they gave me the title of Commendatore in 2006. Why? Because they felt that I'm contributing to the relationship that the U.S. has with Italy, but being in naturalized and in Italian naturalized American, so on and so forth. So there's a good connection there, and all of that works, for me in that respect. So yeah, yeah. Again, going back to what Formula One means, it's a lot of that, and to have Cadillac, along the way once they uh, supplied their own engines, I guarantee you that a lot of people, will be paying a lot of attention to see how Cadillac does vis-a-vis the rest of the manufacturers in the world at the top level of the sport.
Appreciate your thoughts on it. I can definitely see the pride in your country, much like the Olympics brings, right? And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
the Drive to Survive series. It seems to me like, and others might have probably commented on this, I don't know, but it makes the people real. It brings you closer to like if you have a driver that you feel like you're rooting for, it probably helps the sport a lot. Or if you have a team that you feel like that team or understand that team,
Big
probably
time
drives
in
it.
any sport.
A series like that helps you be able to do that, where sometimes the race itself doesn't. We're facing, and I do a lot of work around trying to champion the opportunity that we have in collision repair. I feel like all trades, like there's a shortage of people with interest in them. And it's interesting for the cars, like they've gotten so sophisticated today. It's not like it's not like the mechanics or the body technicians of old. They're just as likely to be holding a tablet today as they are a wrench or a spray gun or something else. But trying to attract people to the trades, because for decades the white collar jobs have been promoted as where the real opportunity is. In racing, do you feel any of that, or is there's always been and always will be a huge amount of interest in the jobs that are necessary to put the team together? Or do like mechanics in racing, is there an abundance of them, or do they feel the same thing that we do? A little bit of lack of interest from young people.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way. If you know the sport, the job of the mechanics is a brutal job. I mean, only love and passion will keep you there.
Okay.
And 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 I know that I just could embrace. I mean, and I so much appreciation and love for the guys that worked on my car to prepare them to give me the best chance, to bring results. And then when I did, the biggest satisfaction I always got to see the big smile on their face. We're all on the podium. We're all enjoying that even setting the fastest time on any given day. Anything at all to just be at the top of the heap. And that's really what, the human side of it is so powerful. And like I said, It's amazing. It's there's pure passion that drives you doing something that requires so much dedication and so much work
Hmm.
to get done. But it seems like that doesn't seem to be an issue. Like work, I'll do whatever it takes, type of thing. And so, again, yeah, you need just special individuals, highly specialized, special individuals that do that job. You don't find them every day. You don't find, and because of the appreciation, that friendships that created, I stay in touch with mechanics, that I've had 50 years ago, 50, 60 years ago. You know what I mean? It's a lifetime relationship that you build, believe it or not, over maybe even 2 or 3 years, working together.
I appreciate your thoughts there. And I grew up in a time when I I don't know if young people feel this way today, but I grew up in a time when cars were pretty cool. Like I couldn't wait to first of all get my first car, drive my first car, but also then open the
Yeah.
hood or take the wheels off of it. And I don't know. It seems
Yeah.
like
What's
that got
wrong with
kind of
it?
lost a little bit in the world today.
Yeah, probably. I think, yeah, I would suspect that a little bit of the hands-on stuff doesn't happen. I remember that first thing I would do to a car, whether it was new, old or new, would just jack it up, go underneath, and put a glass back exhaust system on it. You know, things like that. I always change my own oil and things like that, but you don't do that anymore, So, yeah, some of that is gone by the wayside.
So, are you a big car collector outside of racing?
Not really. No, not really. I never really worried about. I mean, I had a concern about collecting cars. As far as the road cars, because I always wanted to have the latest and greatest. So,
Okay.
uh, the thing that's in the past didn't really. I I didn't care so much. The only thing I have from the past is my the pace car, uh, Indianapolis pace car when I won in '69. That Camaro, it's that type of thing. But that was and yeah, but as far as the race cars, I could have had several race cars, even my world championship car, just for the asking. But the only car that I have, a race car in my garage, is an Indy car. The last one that I drove in
Okay.
1994, Laguna Seca. And Paul Newman and Cara Haas, they were the owner. I said, I'd like to have that car. So they, obviously let me have it. That's the only one I have. But yeah, going back to collection cars, no, every car basically that I have in my garage is the latest and greatest.
All right. So, by latest and greatest, do you mean the fastest, or what's it take to become your daily drive? Right? Did you ever drive a minivan or what?
Well, I have that too,
Did you?
and like not a minivan, but I have a couple of sports cars. I love actually. I'm a Corvette guy as well.
Okay.
I stay up to date with the latest that they have to offer, and yeah, I treat myself.
Outside of a chauffeur, maybe in a different city, though, if you get in a car, are you driving? Does your wife ever? You ever sit in the passenger seat and have your wife drive?
No, no,
Oh, that's funny. Anything outside of racing that you're really excited about these days? You said you never had a plan B. Did you ever, even after getting out of the cockpit, get interest in
no.
anything else?
We have some businesses that one in particular that we're very proud of. It's called AIK&G. It's Andretti Karting and Games, which we have facilities throughout the state, different states. And it's really something we're very proud of. It's entertaining. It's got the latest and greatest in go-kart tracks, like at three levels, and track the facilities up to the one, the latest one we opened, 90,000 square feet. It's got all sorts of games. It's got uh, zip lines. It's got everything that you want to do, even bowling, restaurants. Will entertain the entire family. And you can have business meetings there, and so on and so forth. So, and like I told you earlier, we apply the same basic model that we do running a team, as far as the people involved running these businesses, and how we treat them, and so forth. And
You just
and it's
opened one
been
in Chicago too, right?
yeah,
Outside Chicago.
yeah, Sean, yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll have to check it out. That's not far
You
from
have to
there.
check it out. It's in Schaumburg, yeah.
I'll go and I'm going to ask him what your fastest time was and see if I can beat it. We're all about championing people, and we always close this podcast with a question. If we were to ask you a person that you would want to champion right now, who would you talk about and why?
I had thought about that, when I saw that question there, and I think I gotta say Colton Herta, mainly because what I'm putting myself in his shoes, in the sense of what I would have done, what he's doing. He's sacrificing his career here to some degree, where he's right at the top of his game, and he's sacrificing uh, to be able to go out and pursue Formula One down the road, hopefully even maybe starting next year. But by doing so, he needs to amass enough what they call super license points.
Yeah.
And the best way to do it, I've gone to Formula 2. So basically, it's a step back career-wise, but he's doing whatever it takes to try to actually satisfy his ultimate dream. And I see the quality in this young lad. I really see it. I see that it can work. And with an American team here, to have a full American driver at the moment back in Formula One, I think it would be a good thing all around. And so that's the one that came to mind immediately for me.
Oh, that's great. We'll have to watch and see how he progresses. You should have taught him how to do all kinds of racing all at the same time, like you did. Then he could have already had that behind him.
No, he's done. He's done well. He's done. He's done quite a bit, and he's done some sports car. He's shown to be right at the top of his game, just about everywhere that he's gone. So,
well, he'll come in a winner then. That's what happened. All right. Thanks so much for your time. This has been a lot of fun for me. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, Matt, thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you want more PodCrash in your life, which of course you do, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Catch you next time.